welcome to another episode of Cleats Off the Couch. We've been talking about the expected or projected seasons for 2022 with different NFL teams, and we've been through the Steelers and the Jets, and here today, going one team from each division at a time, talking about the Tennessee Titans. I don't want to dance around the bush, and I just want to hop into it because one of my favorite moments, I shouldn't say favorite, but one of the clearest moments for me when the draft was happening was seeing the video clip of Mike Vrabel and his obvious displeasure with the Titans front office when they traded away A.J. Brown to the Eagles. I remember seeing different stuff about from A.J. Brown and from Mike Vrabel about how neither of them saw separation from either of them. So Mike had spoken about how he didn't see anything without AJ with the Titans, and AJ never saw himself not a part of the Titans, and then all of a sudden, boom, traded away. Now he's on the Eagles, whom I think will be doing pretty darn well this year. They have an excellent upgrade in their roster, but the Titans are one. Last year, I remember a lot of conversation about were they really as good as their record showed. They went 12-5 in the 2021 season, and it did seem kind of, I don't want to say cupcake, but it did seem really simple for them. An easy run to a 12-5 season, and then obviously we saw pretty quickly that dropped out. That changed pretty darn quick in the playoffs. The Colts had a shot at making it, and obviously we all know the drama that went down there with the Jacksonville defense getting 3 interceptions against Carson Wentz in the play-in game, which actually put my Steelers in with them losing. And I thought Carson Wentz played a solid year. Nobody wanted to talk about the entirety of different team moments of which the Colts had failed, and especially the fact that Carson Wentz never really had a wide receiver one, but that's in the past. Can't really fix that now because obviously Carson Wentz is in Washington, and now they've got the man, Matty Ice, over there in Indianapolis. So I think it's going to be a different Indy team this year. I think Indianapolis is going to be a fighter for the top of the AFC South this year. I do think the Titans are going to be taking some steps back. One, because they have a harder schedule this year. They're not going to win 12 games. 2, because A.J. Brown is gone. 3, because Derrick Henry, the man, the myth, the legend, who has been carrying everyone on his back, he was injured, right? Was that last year or 2 years ago? He got injured. The biggest thing for me with Derrick Henry is he's not going to be able to carry the same way that he has. Like he's getting older. He takes a beating. He gives beatings, but that lasts only so long. You're only able to do that for so long before your body starts to wear down, and it does have some negative effects. And so I think we're going to start to see some of those. I do think with Malik Willis, the pickup there for them at quarterback, I do think that was a great pickup for them to have. I'm not really going to read too far into what Ryan Tannehill said early on in some of the interviews, but I think Tannehill is still good enough to be able to work the play action game and do just enough that's necessary to be able to get the ball where it needs to go. Austin Hooper at tight end. They got Robert Woods now at receiver, Traylon Burks. I think they have a little bit there in the receiving, but it's still, it's going to be a letdown from A.J. Brown. I know Julio was kind of a letdown anyway when he came over, but the offensive line, I think, will still be its decent self. The defense is going to be okay. It's going to be, I think, pretty solid. Probably middle of the league. It's going to be hard for Tennessee to make it back to where they were last year, let alone actually win their division. If I'm honest, I don't see Tennessee winning the AFC South this year. I think that goes to the Colts, but we'll save that for when we talk through the Colts schedule. I like Mike Vrabel as a coach. My one buddy and I have always had conversation the past couple of years. We've always respected the mind of Bill Belichick, and I don't like this Patriots, but to be able to look at what Bill Belichick's been able to do, I mean, I know there's been some hiccups, and different people will go back and forth about different stuff with Deflategate and all that and all that other stuff. Um, but just looking at how he's able to do what he's able to do with the people he's able to do it with, and people be like, "Oh, Tom Brady." I mean, you look at the entirety of the team and what he is able to put together every season. It's been pretty crazy at what Bill's been able to do. Well, Mike Vrabel came out of that system, came out of the defense, and Mike Vrabel, he just seems like a great, I mean, a fun dude. Like get me jacked, get me going, let's go, get the team behind me. So I think they've got all the possibility there when it comes to the coaching staff, but I just question the overall roster. Plus, the AFC is tough this year. The AFC in 2022, man, it's going to be the hardest I've seen one conference be in a long time. And you're going to have the AFC West fighting it out. You're going to have the AFC North fighting it out. And in the AFC South, I think it's mainly going to be between Tennessee and Indianapolis. But I just see, man, I like Matty Ice. I'm not gonna lie, and I'd like to see him garner something rather than a debacle by Atlanta's defense back in that Super Bowl. But man, I think they take a couple steps back, and we'll just jump in and look here at what the Titans schedule looks like as we're looking at 2022. Looking at the first week, Sunday afternoon game on Sunday the 11th of September. They're going to be playing the Giants, and they're going to be playing at home in Nissan Stadium. And so I think Tennessee can open up easily, get a win against some team like New York. I think some of the culture is going to be changing there with the New York Giants, but I don't think it's going to be enough with the roster that they have and such. Who knows? They could be a surprise, but I think the surpriser this year out of New York is going to be the Jets, not the Giants. So, I think the Titans get a win in Week 1 at home, which will be good for them to start off on the right foot, especially after that big AJ Brown move and other pieces that it seems like Mike Vrabel is going to have to kind of start almost feeling from scratch with what they were really investing with a first round pick in AJ Brown and such. But anyway, enough about AJ. He's in Philly now. But the Buffalo Bills in week 2 in Highmark Stadium, that's a tough game for Tennessee to win. I will say this. If Tennessee can travel to Highmark Stadium in week 2 of the season and they can somehow come out with a win, I think it completely changed. It's a Monday night game too. I think if they can do that, I think it completely changes the conversation. I think it completely that right there is an opportunity game for them to truly be able to come out and put into perspective who they truly are and put people even what I'm saying, make us shut up and prove that they are still a viable team even in a heavy AFC. So that's a game. That's the game I think right off the bat that will really put things into perspective. Obviously, later down the season will be important as well, especially as they ride somebody like Derrick Henry. He's got to stay healthy if they're going to play their style of football. So I'm going to give though the loss. That's my expectation of them is a loss in Buffalo. So I'm going to start them out at 1-1, and then week 3 they're back home against the Las Vegas Raiders. And I know I've mentioned a little bit in the previous episodes about how I think the Raiders are going to be good this year. The AFC West in general is going to be good, but I think the Raiders, man, their defense with some upgrades, obviously on offense, the upgrade there with Devontae Adams. They still have Darren Waller, one of the best tight ends in the league. They got Josh Jacobs running the ball. Like they got a lot of good things going there in Las Vegas. And so coming into Tennessee, that's another one. Back-to-back big games, Buffalo and Las Vegas. That's going to be big for Tennessee. And if I'm honest, I really think Tennessee starts the season 1-2. I think those will be two big games to really set the tone. If Imagine if Tennessee is able to travel to Buffalo, get a win, come home and win against the Raiders. I, that's what is this Tennessee team we're seeing? That that's going to be the question that's going across. Like, okay, we're talking about the AFC West. Okay, we're talking about AFC North. Okay, we're talking about the Buccaneers, and we're talking about what's happening with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers as the season starts to unfold. But if if the Titans beat the Raiders and the Bills in the first 3 weeks, and then they travel to Indianapolis in week 4 and even potentially get a win there. Okay, whoa. For this conversation, I think realistically we see losses to Buffalo and Las Vegas. So that starts them out at 1-2 on the season in my projection, and then they travel to Indianapolis. Like I said, I think they're going to split. I don't think I think Indianapolis is going to win the division, but I don't think that Tennessee is going to just roll over. I think Tennessee is going to split with Indianapolis. We're going to see a 1-1 there. So that's good. At this point, they're going to be in Lucas Oil in Indianapolis. I'm going to start Tennessee off, guys, at 1-3, and then they travel to Washington to the Commanders. That's good. I think that's going to be a better game than people probably project. In FedEx Field, Washington, maybe a little bit improved. I think Carson Wentz is better than people give him credit for. I think this is obviously a prove it for Carson Wentz. Unfortunately, I do think Titans are able to come in and get a win there, especially if they go 3-game skid. I think they've really burned in. They're about to go into bye week. They come into Washington, they get a win, 2-3, entering their early week 6 bye. I do think for a team like Tennessee, let's be real, a team like Tennessee having a bye week in week 6 is that's insane. That's going to truly affect things with the offensive line, with the run game, unless they do some things to kind of open it up and to help Derek get some rest, not get pounded so hard. Week 7 through 18, man, that's going to be a long year. That's going to be a long year. But early on, they come out of week 6, and then in week 7, they play Indianapolis again already. I'm not a big fan of that early of a boom boom of the rivals, but I do think that they split. I think I can see the picture of a 2-3 coming out of bye, get the win to tie it up at 3-3. I can see that happening. I see Tennessee being good enough to get both wins over Houston. Houston just, I don't see enough improvement as a team. I think they will improve, but I don't see enough for them to get even one win against Tennessee. So I'm going to give the win in NRG Stadium. I'm going to give that to Tennessee, which will put them back on the winning side at 4-3 on the season, which will be good for them, get things rolling again, potentially start to right the ship for the opportunity of playoffs with the AFC shaping at that point mid-season. And then they'll come in and play a team in Arrowhead Stadium, the Kansas City Chiefs. And with that, the Chiefs, I think, are taking a step back this year, but I don't think they're taking a step back as much as the Titans will be. I do think that that'll be a fun game. I do think that'll be a good game. It's hard to give the Titans a win over Kansas City in Kansas City. It's just hard to do that. I think they can do it. I really do. I think those two teams will be similar in their competitive nature this year, but it is hard in Arrowhead for them to come in and get the win. I'm going to give the win to Kansas City here. That's going to put them at 4-4 in Arrowhead, and then they come home to play Denver. Denver is a team, I've talked about this a lot. Denver's a team that will play well. You got Russell Wilson. You got the defense. I do think they're a good team, but they're a team that will probably be better at home than away. And I think, again, they're going to be at that competitive level. They're not going to be at the top 6 teams in the league, but they're going to be right below that in that competitive piece. People who are playoff viable teams like the Titans and the Chiefs. And so I'm going to give the win to Tennessee. Tennessee's not going to lose to all of these more competitive teams. I'm going to give a win to Tennessee over Denver here, putting them at 5-4. And they're at home, so that goes their way. And then they're going to travel to Green Bay. Lambeau, middle of November, Thursday night game. I want them to get a win. I want Tennessee to get some big wins. And in Lambeau though, at what are they at 5-4? I'm giving the win to Green Bay. I'm giving the win to Green Bay. I know Aaron Rodgers doesn't have Devontae Adams anymore, but they're going to find a way. Their defense is going to do well this year in Green Bay. I think they're going to do well to try and offset that loss. They're not gonna have anywhere near the production they had offensively. They'll lean more into the run game. They'll do a little bit more of late Peyton Manning career. They'll run the ball. They'll open up some deep passes, which were there even without Devontae. When you look at Randall Cobb and Valdez Scantling and those who they've had in the past, they'll open that up with some of the guys that they have now. So, so I'm gonna give the win to Green Bay, putting them at 5-5, and then Cincinnati, man. See, and that's that. Look at the schedule. I mean, you hear the schedule comparatively to the Titans last year. I mean, already some of the top teams in the league in Cincinnati, in Green Bay, in Kansas City, in Las Vegas, in Buffalo. Tennessee's playing all of them. They're playing all of them this year. And so against Cincinnati at home, I could see again, Tennessee's not going to lose all of the big games. Cincinnati is probably not the one to bet against, but at home, I'm gonna no, I can't do it. Cincinnati guys, Cincinnati is just so improved. I think Cincinnati comes and gets a win, and then that puts them at what 5-6. And then we go to Philadelphia. They're in Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia is going to be good this year. I think that Philadelphia is my favorite to win the NFC East as of right now. I think Tennessee can go in and win it. Week 13, beginning of December, I could see that kind of like, what are you doing, Philly? Kind of situation. Tennessee, tired of losing big games. I don't see them losing a ton of games in a row. And so here, I'll give the win to Tennessee, putting them at 6-6. And then they are at home against Jacksonville. I think Tennessee is, again, they're a team just like the Texans that can beat the Jaguars twice. I don't know that they will. I don't know a ton about the AFC South when it comes to the division fights, but I do know, like in the AFC North, how teams, even when they are better, they tend to split. And so even if you have a better team in Pittsburgh, they split with Baltimore. And so I just have a feeling Titans are not going to sweep both the Jags and the Texans. I gave the sweep over the Texans. I'm going to give a split to the Jaguars. I'm going to give the win here at home to the Titans, making them 7-6. But later on, when they play them in week 18, I think they will lose. We're not going to count that yet. So we got 7-6, and then going into week 15, they're at the Chargers again, another team that I think they could get a win against. But look, they're in LA now, so it's consistently the majority of these games they're at those locations, and so I think that's something that will play big in this with the Chargers. We're at 7-6. I'm gonna give. See, guys, it's hard. This is hard. I'm gonna give a win. We've given a lot of losses to the Titans, and I don't want to just give a win. Just be like, oh, I feel bad for him or anything like that. I really do think the Titans can one of these games against one of these harder teams, especially looking at these AFC West teams. I think they can get a win. I don't want to just hand it to them. The question is which one. That's the question. That's the difficulty in my mind. Is okay. They're gonna get a win over either the Broncos, the Bengals, the Chargers, or the Chiefs. Who? Which one? They're going to get a win over either the Packers, the Raiders, the Bills, but which one? And so that's the difficulty of trying to make these projections, especially we're here towards the end of the season too. How healthy are they going to be? What's it going to look like? So I'm going to give a win over LA. I think of the AFC West teams that Tennessee could match up the most against, I would say it's Denver and the Chargers. I say that out loud now, and I think maybe the Chiefs more than the Chargers. But I gave the Chiefs the win earlier because they were in Kansas City. I think it's harder to play in Kansas City than it is to play in LA. We'll give the win to Tennessee. Enough on that one. Moving to Week 16, they're at 8-6. They go and play the Texans. I think they get the win in Houston. No, this one's at home. They get the win at home in Nissan Stadium, so that puts them at 9-6. And then they're at home against Dallas. Dallas, I think, does better on the road. Dallas gets the win here. Now they're at 9-7, and then they're at Jacksonville. And I said earlier, I think they split. So I'm going to give a loss to Tennessee in Jacksonville, potentially being like Jacksonville decided last year with the Indianapolis Colts, knocking the Titans out of playoff contention with how tight the AFC race is going to be, making them 9-8 on the season. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised. Jacksonville, with a good coach and a good system, can do well in that. And it seems like although Jacksonville may not be great, may not do well, they still have a tendency to be able to upset within their division. And so I'm going to give that division upset, putting them at 9-8 to end the season. And therefore, probably, I mean, we'll see at the end of this what the playoffs will look like according to my predictions here for 2022. Probably knocking them out of playoff contention, especially with the AFC West and AFC North. It's just hard to tell. Although the AFC North is now taking a different picture with everything. Who knows yet what's happening there? What do you guys think? I know this is yet another prediction. I've got 9-8 for the Titans, and so doing the 1-win swing, we've got 8 to 10 wins for the Tennessee Titans. That's a drop off. Last year they went 12-5. So this year I'm saying 9-8, high swing of 10, low swing of 8. I'm doing a +1, -1. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and whether you think I'm close or not. And from here, we'll hopefully be able to keep shooting through and move through our final division with one team, and that'll be the AFC West, which I keep talking about so much. Oh boy. So I look forward to that. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you in the next one.